Welcome, everyone. I love seeing all of you coming on. No one else can see you coming on. So welcome to the webinar. So today, what I've decided to do is I really want to help you all out with creating the best results for your life that you want. And one of the biggest problems that we have as ladies who want to lose weight is we have been bombarded with a lot of misinformation. And so this webinar is going to be super, super helpful. So I see you have a question. So if you have a question, just put it in the chat. We will be getting an opportunity to raise your hand to be coached. And so let me just, first of all, I guess I'll introduce myself, tell you a little bit about what's going on. And so I would just recommend that you just put any questions you want in the little chat. It's the little chat bubble there. And I can answer any of your questions. Okay. I am going to recommend that you turn your phones off, your phone notifications, silent mode on. Perfect. And I am Dara Tomasson. I am the weight coach for quilters. I'm here to help all quilters lose all the weight and create the life that they want. So so happy to have you. So if you have a question, just put it in the little chat bubble down below, and I would be happy to help you with any of that. So let's get started. So what we're doing today, this is the outline. I'm going to be sharing a message about weight loss science. Weight loss myths debunked. So I'm going to be helping with that. I want you to have all your weight loss, like all the myths, everything out there. I will be answering them. So the format will be, I will be teaching you some stuff about how to use the science to help you navigate if it's a myth or not. I'm going to give 3 examples. I'm going to kind of walk you through that. And then I'm going to have it open for coaching. So you can raise your hand. There's a little bubble there. Oh, interesting. Okay. That'll be good. I will answer that one, Amy. So then we're going to have open to where you can raise your hand and I can bring you onto the screen and I can coach you and I can show you what's going on. And then at the very end, I'm going to talk about how you can have the opportunity to work with me in being able to accomplish all of your dreams, your weight loss dreams. Okay, which will be really, really fun. So here we have it. Weight loss myths debunked. Now, of course, I'm Dara Tomasson. I'm a weight loss coach for quilters. And I'm going to ask you some questions. Is this so you know that you're in the right place if this is where you're at. So you're not at your goal weight. You're feeling super disappointed about weight loss. You feel like you've tried so many diets. You feel like there's too many rules about weight loss that are so complicated and difficult. You need to have hours and research and have a research team to help you wade through all of the misinformation out there. And you're tired of getting excited that weight loss can happen and then you fail. So let's talk about why you are here and why this is so common for so many women. So first of all, so why are you here? Well, you've tried to lose weight on your own. So you've researched like crazy. You try to lose weight dependent on other programs and experts. You don't feel smart enough or qualified enough to do this on your own. You feel overwhelmed and confused about weight loss. You don't believe it's possible to lose weight at your age. And you feel bombarded with weight loss information for so long that you don't even know it's real anymore. Okay. And so today, oh my gosh, I love this picture. Today, we're going to be focusing on this idea of we're so bombarded with weight loss information and it's for so long that we don't even know what's real anymore. And so today we are going to be working through that. And I have 3 main ones I'm going to be walking you through, but I encourage you to put anything in the chat. This is interactive and you will get a chance to raise your hand and be able to ask me any questions. Okay, so this is where you want to be. And if I missed anything, put it in the chat. You want to be empowered about weight loss. You want to be able to troubleshoot Sorry, my kettle was on. You want to be able to troubleshoot and solve for weight loss. You want to be your own expert. You don't have to worry about weight loss anymore. You want to just like move on with your life, and you want to solve the weight loss so that you can really start living. And why this hasn't worked in the past for you is because following diets that seem to be based on science, it's not sustainable. You rely on a lot of willpower to be able to keep following that diet. And you're not really understanding the why. You're doing the how, but you don't understand the why behind all of it. So then you believe the myths that you see out there, and you keep yourself stuck. So like a very common one is the last 10 pounds are the hardest, or it's really important to lose weight slowly. Today we're going to be talking about menopause. We're going to be talking about counting calories, and we're going to be talking about menopause, counting calories. Oh, and DNA. It's in our DNA. Like we're born with it or we're not. We have the fat gene or we don't, which by the way, there is a fat gene, and I'm going to be talking about that. All right. So then why what you have tried hasn't worked? Well, the problem is you're following diets that seem to be based on science. Not all of them are. And so you think you're doing it the right way, but it's not. You rely on, I think I said this one already. Yeah, you're believing the myths that you see out there, which keeps them stuck, and you try to do it on your own. There are so many women that think I should be able to do this on my own. If I was to say, here's a beautiful paper pieced quilt, like, the really fun elephant ones, her name is Elizabeth Hartman. No, what's her name? What's the designer? She does like really cool paper piecing, and she has the elephant, and she's got, anyways, I met her at Quilt Market. But could you imagine it's like you seeing the quilt and saying, you know what? I should just be able to know how to do that. I know how to quilt. So I should just be able to paper piece this thing. Or even like we look at those really beautiful, English paper piece or whatever that is. Why do we think we should know it all? Okay. We need to get the support and help. All right. So why hasn't that worked? Well, we try to understand what is the problem from a lens of not good enough. Okay, so Christy, I will answer your question. So if you have a question, put it in the chat. If you want me to coach you, I can after we're finished this part. Okay, so if you're having a problem, yeah. All right. So maybe, yeah. And then I can answer that after. All right. So you try to understand what is the problem from a lens of not good enough. You're like, I'm really terrible at this. I should just keep trying to do this on my own. Right. It's like, imagine doing a quilt, a paper piece quilt. And you're like, I don't really know how to do this, but I should know because I'm a quilter. Right. I know how to read, so I should be able to do this. Now, you don't have a solid foundation or understanding of weight loss. So of course, you're not going to be able to be empowered, and you're not going to be able to make educated decisions. You think that you need to be motivated. So that means you need to feel good all of the time. So when you wake up and you put your alarm, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to like do some exercise, or I'm going to plan my food, and I'm going to do this and do that. You feel like you have to feel good in order to do it, but that's actually not the case. You're tired. You tried to lose weight, but weight comes back. So then you feel like you failed, and you really don't understand the true weight loss method. And then you don't understand why you're turning to food in the first place. So it's like a magnet, right? You're like, why do I keep turning? Why do I keep putting this more food in my mouth than my body needs? What's going on? Okay. So today I'm going to help you learn how to decipher what is a weight loss myth or truth. And I want you to think, how much time are you going to save in your life by learning just even the calories, the menopause, and the third one that we're going to do. Okay. So by the way, I'm Dara Tomasson, and I have lost 50 pounds without counting calories or exercise, because I knew if I was going to lose weight, I was not going to lose weight in a way that was going to be difficult and and hard. I thought, no, I'm going to lose weight. It's going to be fun. It's going to require some determination, but I'm going to do it. And that is what I've done. In fact, I lost 30 pounds and I was pleased. And then I just kept losing the weight. So I've lost 20 since then, and I've been able to keep it off for 2 years. Okay. And that is what I do. I'm a certified weight coach, life and weight coach, who helps women lose weight by understanding what's really going on. So how do we truly debunk the weight loss myth? Well, we need to create for ourselves a process that works. And so I'm going to teach you. So obviously I can't teach you all the weight loss science in this webinar, but my program is there to help you. And I'm going to show you some of the ways that I do that, so you can see like a real life example of what that looks like. Okay. And this picture is you're going to get a kick out of this picture. So I can just see this, like, this has been happening for far too long. I'm not going to stand for this anymore. So the three most common myths that we're going to talk about today, of course, is counting calories, DNA, our genes, and menopause. All right. Now, so let's look at counting calories. So the first thing is, and I want you to ask any of your questions here. Like I'm totally open to answering any questions. I'm just curious about, maybe I'll just. So Christy, did you want to ask a question right now? Because you have your hand raised. So if you do, you just need to unmute yourself and you can ask me anything right now if you want. Or maybe you don't know you have your hand raised. So in webinars, there are, on the bottom, you've got these little icons, and oh, there we go. Okay, I didn't know if that's what you wanted. So, which is fine. I'm here to help you in any way possible. All right. Oops. There we go. So I'm just going to unpin. How do I do that now? Oh boy. Okay. I'll just do that. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Okay. So how do I take you so that you're not, there we go. All right. Let's keep going. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. Here we go. Okay. So this is one of the biggest problems I see in so many of the failed attempts of dieting that I've seen of myself and so many of my clients, is they think that they need to count calories. And I actually don't count calories. And so this is the problem. Not all calories are created equal. So our body, the digestive system of our body, what it has to do to break down white bread versus carrots is very different. And just so you know, a calorie is just, oops a daisy. A calorie is just a unit of measure of energy, of how much energy burns. Okay. So different foods have a different measure of burning rate. So we heat our house with fire. With wood by a fire. And so if you had arbutus versus cedar versus pine, that wood is going to burn at a different rate. And so it's the same kind of thing with food. Our body has to do something different with it. So with a carrot, the body's going to take a lot of work to process it. Now, good calories, what they do is they help sustain energy. They help us feel satiated. It curbs our hunger. It boosts our energy. Okay. Those calories help us to be our best version of ourselves. And then there's other calories. We're going to call them good and bad. Let's just, be stereotypical here, which is fine. But we're feeling more tired, right? We have the sugar crashes and we get really low energy and we're really sluggish. It happens a lot if the body is feeling like if we're really restricted our diet, our body starts getting very sluggish because it's very worried that we're not going to feed it enough. And then we feel constant hunger. So for all of you in the 80s, and we've carried it on, if you are eating a lot of like high carb, like the like rice cakes and licorice, a lot of fructose. Oh my goodness, so much fructose. What happens is it actually raises our insulin so high that our leptin, which is our hormone that tells us when we're full, it actually can't tell that it's full. And so now we're constantly eating and we're constantly hungry and we're getting all these sugar crashes and we're sluggish and we're just gaining weight. Okay, because our insulin is going in overdrive. And then a lot of you will then start having insulin resistance because our body isn't being sensitive to insulin, doesn't even know if we've had enough insulin or not. And we're storing insulin in our toes and in our ankles and in different parts of our body. And that's why we, and then we get in type 2 diabetes, and then they give us more insulin, and it just makes it worse and worse and worse. Okay. So that is all that's happening. So when we understand that, we understand, oh, wait a minute, I've got to change something. All right. Now, the other thing that when we talk about counting calories, the problem is our body stores fat in 2 different places, and we access those places in a different way. So we've got our calories that are in our bloodstream and they're just going all over the place. And then we've got our calories that are now stored in body fat. And so it's similar to the fridge versus the freezer. And so it's harder to access those places. Okay. So if we keep filling up our bloodstream with all this glycogen, which is converted from the food and the carbs that we eat, then we're just becoming more of a storage unit. And then we're not able to access the stored fat. Now, we also have there's 3 different kinds of food that we eat. We've got protein, which helps build our muscles. We have fats, which help with satiation. They help our joints and our all of that feel really good. And then we've got carbs, which are the fuel. And our body does need fuel every day to operate. And so those different food groups, they will interact with our body in different ways. So do you see now so if you are constantly like this girl, just constantly like putting in our data of like the different carbs that we're eating and the different points, we're not embracing that our body has to do different things to use the calories. Okay. So when we count calories only, and we look at the points only, we are raising our bloodstream potentially, we're blocking our ability to feel if we're full, and we're increasing our insulin like crazy. And then we have a deficiency of feeling the sensitivity to insulin. And now we're on our way to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And then we start losing our sight and having our toes and all sorts of, gangrene and all those really not so great things. Okay. So just in that 4 minutes, I know I'm speaking really quickly because I just want to help you guys in so many different ways. Just in that, we can get a whole new perspective of why counting calories is going to cause us weight loss difficulty. It's a huge sabotage. Okay. Now, any questions, put them in the chat. I just keep the chat bubble open. Okay, we're going to the next one. So Amy's question was, when I explain what I'm doing, I often get asked why Susie gets to eat whatever she wants and stays a size 6 if it isn't genes, hereditary, etc. And I don't have the answer. Perfect. I'm so glad you came. That's amazing. Okay. So there are 2 things I want to say about that. The first one is we are wired for survival. Okay. So we have evolved as humans, and part of our instincts is every time we eat food, no matter what it is, we get a slight dopamine hit. So back in the day when we had insecurity around food, we didn't know where our next meal was going to come. So if we had to like eat a cricket, or if we had to eat like some bitter herbs, or some, something like that, we had this like dopamine release that rewarded us and said, because that's our brain's job, right? Our brain's job is to reward us to stay alive. And so now talking about that. So when we started having fructose, concentrated sugar and flour as well, it was like an overload for our brain. So back in the day when we didn't have all of that, there was a gene, and some people had it and some people didn't, that actually allowed us to take in more fat. And it was great. It kept us to survive. So what they have done, the researchers have done, is they have looked at people who have this fat gene, and they say, okay, we've got a problem here because they have this fat gene. We found it. And I don't remember I like to say, if you can't explain it, if it sounds like I'm talking over your head, then it doesn't make any sense. Then let's not do that. I like to be able to, I used to be a grade 5 teacher, and grade 5 and 6. And it's like, if you can understand it at this level, then it makes sense. So what they did is they found these fat genes, and they did these case studies of people who had them and people who didn't. And they showed over and over again, if you ate properly, moved your body, slept well, drank your water, all of that, you would be fine. It wasn't a disadvantage to you. You were just okay. Just you were all good. I mean, okay, no problem. So whether you have it or not, it doesn't matter so much as when you are truly taking care of yourself. So are you eating better? Are you sleeping? Are you having a healthy balance of fats and proteins and carbs? Are you talking positively to yourself? Are you beating yourself up on a regular basis? All of those things contribute to having a body that you enjoy having. Okay. Now, another piece of this that they saw more and more is that when you look at your family history, is the problem because you've got every time your family gets together, you have to have like 3 or 4 different desserts. When your family gets together, do you do a lot of sitting, or do you go for walks? Do you go for hikes? Do you go for rent bikes and go explore places? Or do you do a lot of like sitting and watching TV or playing games and eating lots of food? Because it's so much more about your body, about what you're doing with your body and the kinds of foods you're putting in your mouth. If that's just like normalized and just like, this is just how we are, we're the Smiths and this is what we do. And we live for food, and we live for restaurants, and we live for food competitions or always having dessert, then of course the Smiths are going to continue having a lot of obesity. But if you're like, no, we like go and we go on really fun hikes, and we go on adventures, and we go rappelling, and like food is actually not that big of a deal in our gatherings. Like we'll have, food, but it's not like we don't go overboard with our desserts and things. Okay. So that is a huge piece of this. So let me answer Amy's question. So when I explain what I'm doing, so Amy is in my program. I often get asked, why does Susie get to eat whatever she wants and stays a size 6 if it isn't genes, hereditary, etc.? And I don't have the answer. Okay. So when you think about this question, Susie being a size 6, what kinds of ways does she eat? One of the things that I had a coach that talked about, they adopted a young woman who lived on the streets, and she had a really terrible life. And when she ate food, she was so grateful for it because she didn't really get a lot of that. And so a lot of the way that she is thinking about food and like the hormone balance when she's eating that food impacts her. So we've got the 3 hormones that impact weight loss. And I also would like to, there's people who say they can eat whatever they want. So part of that is people, they do have a ratio of like physical exercise and eating what they want. They have different food patterns. And so if we followed them around for a couple of days, we would see what kinds of things that they're doing and what kinds of things that they're thinking and how that's impacting the way that they live. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. And if not, we can ask more questions to find more information. Okay, this next one, menopause. Okay, can you guys relate to this? Now, menopause and perimenopause, and that's one of the biggest struggles that I started seeing in myself and started believing. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. First of all, we don't talk about perimenopause and menopause as a society. And even within our families, there's not a lot of open discussion about it. There are some families that are, other families not so much. And so first of all, we don't really have a big conversation about that. Second of all, when we have the perimenopause and menopause happening, all that's happening is that instead of producing estrogen and progesterone from our menstrual cycle, we are now getting those same hormones from our adrenal glands and our fat cells. That's it. So our body's like, we still need to produce estrogen, we still need to produce progesterone, but we're using a different source. So that is why, and I want to tell you the sleep part. So if those of you who are struggling with sleep, if you have a difficult time falling asleep, it's because you have an overabundance of progesterone. And it's usually contributed to, you find yourself doing a lot of blaming outside of you, a lot of like finger pointing, like what's happening, what's going on with that person, or that person would just do something different. So that is generally because our brain always creates, we have thoughts, and the thoughts always create a hormone, an emotion. Okay. And that emotion releases hormones. Like if we were late, we would have the hormone of like adrenaline. All right. So then if we have estrogen, we fall asleep okay, but we wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning, we have a harder time getting back to sleep. It's just because we have low estrogen, and we are finding we're doing a lot of like negative self-talk. We have a lot of like internal shame, those kinds of feelings. Okay. And that's what we're going to work on as we understand, we slow everything down and see what kinds of thoughts we're having in our life. So now we're getting the estrogen and progesterone from our adrenal glands and our fat cells. So if you start seeing an extra padding around your belly, right? Because if you have fat cells around your belly more, you're going to have an increase. Isn't that fascinating? The fat cells are just doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so what I say and I have some suggestions for you in the next slide, but this production of estrogen helps with your bone density. So we want to avoid osteoporosis, which we're like, thank you, body, for producing estrogen and progesterone. So all we need to do simply is, when we think about menopause, it's like, okay, I know what's happening. I need to reduce my fat, and I need to embrace that this is what's happening. So we increase our protein, and we reduce the amount of types of carbs you eat. So that's why you hear a lot of articles about like ladies in their menopause and perimenopause needing to increase their weight lifting, because you want to increase your ability to reduce the fat cells so that you can now not have as many, you can rely on the adrenal rather than the fat cells to create more estrogen and progesterone. Okay. So we do weights, we do less cardio, we manage our stress levels, because our stress levels, what does that do? Right. It increases our cortisol, which affects our ability to be calm. We move our body. So we're just walking. And I myself never rely on exercise for weight loss. If I do it, it's a bonus. If not, it won't affect my weight, because I did not want to be reliant on weight loss for exercise or counting calories or the kinds of calories and tracking this and tracking that. I just knew that it wasn't sustainable for me. If it's not something you want to do for like a week, then don't do that. Okay. And then increase the amount of healthy fats you eat. So having the avocado, having the olive oil, eating the butter, eating the bacon, that's going to be really helpful for you. Okay. Now, a process that works. So we get to understand weight loss science. So now we become our own expert. And if we don't understand it, we can search it out. And the best news is in Love Yourself Thin, which I'll talk about later, is that I've done all that for you. It's all there for you. And you're able to create the kind of results you want. You create a solid foundation of weight loss knowledge. You become an active participant in the weight loss process. So now you understand, oh, what's going on. So another piece of I'm just thinking back to Amy's question. So if this woman, Susie, right, if she has she doesn't have a lot of stored fat and she doesn't eat a lot, she's not overloading her glycogen, like her bloodstream with that, then she is never really ever going into that. I have to go into my fat stores to get rid of them. So I lived in France twice. And once I lived there for a summer, once I lived there for 18 months. And I mean, they have a whole book on it. French women, they eat lots of cheese. They eat lots of chocolate. They eat baguettes. They eat all these things, but they don't eat tons of it, right? They have like, you've seen a French plate. You're like, where's the food, right? They have a very small amount and it's very pretty and very nice, but they're getting just the right amount of fuel that they need. So I also often compare this to if you filled your car with gas and then your gas, you haven't emptied your tank and you want to keep filling your car, you're going to have to get some jerry cans, right? To hold that extra gas. And that's what fat is. It's just stored fat. It's just stored energy. Okay. So the stored energy turns into fat, which we now carry around in our body. Now you make your own eating protocol and work at perfecting it for your body. So that's what you get to do. You get to be an active participant because you're applying the science. So why does this work? Isn't that such a fun picture? Because you are now in the driver's seat. You create your own experience. You are now your very own authority. And you have tools that help you understand what's going on. You're able to change your relationship with food. You see why you're turning to the food when you know logically that that's not the answer. So even today, one of my clients was saying how, she, by the middle afternoon, she's like, well, I just really need an apple. Well, the problem is we don't actually need an apple when we realize, oh my goodness, I have all this stored fat on me. What I really need to do is process an urge, and I need to dine in. I need to use the fat that's on my body. And I need to see if I want something sweet, it's because I'm not creating something sweet for me. And so I'm turning to something outside of me. That's why we buy a lot of fabric that we don't need, because we're trying to feel a different feeling outside of us because we're not creating it for ourselves. So you are engaging your prefrontal cortex. You are using a CEO brain and no longer operating out of fear. And you take out the drama of weight loss and you start enjoying your life, just like these ladies. So why this works is, I did that twice. Okay. I guess I really wanted to make sure you knew how it worked. Okay. So the Love Yourself Thin experience is you will feel empowered with your body and the food that you will be eating. And you're not going to rely on others to tell you what to eat. You know what to eat because you have become your own science experiment. You're figuring it out. So this is what's going to start happening. You're going to learn how the weight loss science works. You eat food with confidence. You create whatever number on the scale you want. And then the results will be, you know what to eat. You understand the emotions behind the eating, and then you feel confident in your skin. All right. So my goal was to do that in 30 minutes. I did a pretty good job there. So now we have time to ask any questions, and you can get coached on any of this. Okay. So here we go. Time for questions. Okay. So who has questions? You can, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So on the bottom of your screen here, you'll see a little, there's a raise hand feature. And then you can just raise your hand and I'll bring you on the screen and I'll answer any of your questions. All right. I also have questions prepared that I can be sharing with you as well. So if you're a little bit nervous, which is fine, that you don't have to, but I do have a bunch of weight loss myths that I have written down and prepared to share with you and just kind of talk you through like the weight loss science part of it. Okay. So one of the myths that I see is I'll be happier when I lose weight. So the problem with that myth is you're still going to have the same brain when you're 220 pounds that you're going to have at 150 pounds. And the problem is if you use a lot of restriction and punitive, like talking to yourself really mean, like we call it like finger wagging, then so you're like, oh, this is a terrible process. This is awful. I hate this, but it's going to be worth it. I'm going to feel so much better about myself at 150 pounds. Well, you will feel better about yourself at 150 pounds and for, like a little window, but then you're going to be in so much, our body just naturally fluctuates. I would say some people, their body fluctuates 5 pounds, 10 pounds. That's very normal. And so when the scale goes up a little bit, then you're like, oh no, I've done everything wrong. And so, but the road to losing weight was so horrible that you don't want to do that again. So then you just give up and you just gain a whole bunch of weight again. Okay. So there are certain things in your life that will be better when you're thinner. Absolutely. It's easier to shop. It's easier to get dressed in the morning. You're a lot nicer to yourself when you get dressed, when you look at yourself. That is nicer. But I'm telling you, you have the same brain at 200 pounds to 130 pounds. Okay. Eating breakfast is going to boost your metabolism. Okay. So we all fast. That when we sleep, we're fasting. And so if we are using more food, if we're putting more food in our mouth than our body can use, it's going to store it. So eating breakfast, it really doesn't affect your metabolism. The thing that does affect your metabolism more is the thing is like when you do a lot of calorie restriction, your body feels very worried and nervous. And so it will hold on to it. So there was a study done by The Biggest Losers. Remember that show, The Biggest Loser? And most of them, like 98% of them, have put all the weight back on because they were in a very tight calorie reduction. They're eating a lot of like high sugar kinds of things like refined flours and things like that. They weren't having a lot of satiation. And so then they put all that weight back on. Their body became really sluggish. There wasn't a lot of security there. So when you actually skip breakfast, your body continues to dine in, your body continues to fast. And so it will really be using all the glycogen that's running around in your bloodstream. And it will really thank you. Say, thanks so much for taking care of me. All right. Another weight loss myth that I have, fat makes you fat. So the problem with that is fat, our bodies need fat. It's like, I imagine it's like going to the car. Sorry, going to the car. Go in a car, when we put oil in our car, it helps lubricate the engine. It's the same thing for our bodies. Okay. We need all that. We need for our joints and all those things. It's really important that we have good fats. Excuse me. All right. It also helps our nervous system. Our brain needs fat. It needs it to keep going. And fat helps you lose weight. Fat, when you eat fat, it doesn't spike our insulin. It's amazing. So good. Okay. I have lots more, but I want to help you out. I want to answer any of your questions that you have. Another one is, this kind of goes with Amy's question. Everyone loses weight equally. That's not true. Everyone is different and hormones are all in different spaces. some people need to heal first before they move forward. And so we also have like a history of like different thought patterns. And if we're not conscious of our thought patterns, we're constantly replaying the same thing and we're messing up our hormones. Okay. So I have this more weight loss myths. So one of these ones that I think you hear a lot is that you just need to exercise more. Now, the problem is it's going to be really uncomfortable to exercise more when your body isn't ready and it's going to feel terrible. And the other thing is if we exercise more and we're burning a lot of calories and we're not eating the amount of calories that we need, our body goes again into that deprivation and it feels really scared. Okay. And that's not a healthy relationship with food or with yourself. We talked about calories being different, choosing the right carbs. So there's refined carbs like cake, pastry, processed food, pop, sweetened, chocolate bars, lots. And that we also notice that creates a lot of belly fat. So what we really want to do is because it's just storing so much fat and glycogen, that like with the fructose and the refined flours and sugars, it's just like amplifying how much you have. And it's like an addiction, right? It's like you just can't get enough of it. And we never feel satisfied or full. And so what I want you to really focus on is good carbs. So like legumes and vegetables, all sorts of leafy vegetables are in general. So those are the kinds of ways that your body is going to like break it down and feel so much better. All right. So that's a little bit more on that one. I have lots, but I do want to make sure that I answer any of your questions. One of the weight loss myths that I feel is really toxic is that women will think that they have to eat 6 small meals to increase your metabolism. And it's actually the opposite, because every time you eat, you are spiking your insulin. Your insulin is the fat storage hormone, right? And it's the one who regulates all the sugar and everything. And so every time you eat something, your body's like, oh, I have to do some work. I have to release some sugar. I have to get this going. And so you're spiking your insulin and so your body's never really able to rest and get what it needs to do. Okay. So I would be, and then of course now our leptin and ghrelin and those weight loss hormones, they're out of whack. So now we're not really letting our body do what it's supposed to do. And it's like, oh, we have all this extra stuff. One of the ways that I think about it, and Dr. Fung, he's definitely, I find he's the most, I really like how he explains things. But when we are having so much sugar and like that fructose and not really letting ourselves be able to digest everything, it's like we store a bunch of stuff under the sink, or we store stuff in different places, and we're not able really to use all the sugars that we're inputting in our body. So that is, so if you're feeling like this, you feel like you're doing the right things, you're eating 6 small meals to increase your metabolism, that's actually the opposite of what we should be doing. We should only be eating when we're truly, truly hungry, when we're actually having like our stomach is feeling like growling. That's when we should be eating. Okay, so I've given you a lot of permission to change things up. And so, all right. Any other questions? What are you finding? Any questions that like maybe you might be triggered by anything that I've said, you might be curious about? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain. So are there any other weight loss myths that you wanted to ask about. One of the things that I find another one that I hear a lot is the last 10 pounds are the hardest to lose. So what happens when what do you feel? What is the feeling when you have the thought, the last 10 pounds are the hardest to lose? What is that feeling? Like desperate, annoyed, frustrated, overwhelmed, I don't know, there's lots of emotions. So if you believe that that's true, what's going to happen? That last 10 pounds is going to be horrible. It's going to be awful. And you're going to think, I'm never going to get this done. This is not doable. But I promise you, the more that you learn the love yourself thin process of the weight loss and applying that, then what's going to happen is it's just your desire for food and your ability to solve for the real problems is going to increase, and desire for food is going to decrease. And you're going to be able to see what's really going on in your brain. And then you're able to solve for that. And so you don't turn to the food all the time to try to feel better. You actually make yourself feel better through your thoughts and the way that you are thinking, which reflects your feelings. So then now you're able to take care of yourself and you're not relying on food to do that for you. Okay. The other piece of this, which I was always going to talk about with the genes. So when people think they have no control over their fat, it's just the genetics. One of the other things that a lot of us don't understand is even the idea of fiber that helps us to feel more full, this level of satiation. So if you went to a buffet and you were so full, but you could always eat a little bit more ice cream, or you could have another pop, those are tons of calories. But because you can just consume them so easily, but if you had a chicken, a chicken thigh or something, it's you couldn't do it because that has, because now you're feeling satiated. Okay. So it's just along those lines of really starting to think about food as an empowered person, as opposed to it's happening to you. So the other one I think a lot of you can relate to is gaining weight as you grow older. So one of the things that also happens is that when we talk about menopause and we think, and we start seeing if we have the fat belly around the fat cells around our belly, and now we're getting our estrogen, progesterone from our adrenals and our fat cells, they're going to start expanding. And so then you think, it's game over. I'm done. Okay. So it's really being able to ask yourself, is this true or if this is not? And my very first podcast, I talk about math versus drama. And I really want, if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. It's my very first podcast. It's amazing. And so it's the same kind of idea, science versus but Susie down the road said this, and I read this on this. Okay. There's a lot of sensationalism when it comes to weight loss. And as you can see in books and everything, book sales, they want to sell you stuff, right? And the weight loss industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So of course, they want you to stay unempowered. So so that's the training for today. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. But right now I'm just going to take the next 12 or so minutes. I can stay longer if you have any questions about this. But I do want to talk to you about what would it be like for you to find a process that you could lose all the weight you want and you can keep it off forever. Okay. So that is what I've created for you. The Love Yourself Thin Lifetime Membership. And it's a group membership program. So once you join, it's like you buy a sewing machine. Once you bought it, it's yours for life. Okay. And this program is the same. And in this program, what happens is I teach you how to lose the weight. So how to use the weight loss science. and then how to create and troubleshoot for a protocol. So you actually become the driver of your own food. You get to decide, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat it? And we were going to learn tools to help you to really get a good idea of how to do that. Okay. Oh my goodness. Look at me. I'm like all black and white. This is really fun. I could be like camouflage. Doesn't it look like a quilt? I love it. Okay. And then you recognize and process your emotions, right? And so and I'm just showing you like because what happens with the Love Yourself Thin is we have 12 modules. We have the videos and the workbook and all of that. And so I show you how this all works together. All right. And then you take responsibility for yourself. So you become 100% responsible for whatever numbers on the scale. It's like no more surprises. And then you create confidence. And I'm telling you, you can create confidence around your weight and around your body. I promise. When you learn this process, you will be able to do that too. And there is nobody that is doesn't qualify. I was going to shut this door. My kids have the today off of school. And so we've been working on the yard, and the garage is looking really good. All right. So that is what comes with your Love Yourself Thin lifetime membership. So for that, so I'm always thinking of ways. Oh, here we go. So you can learn these 5 steps. You can learn how, like I talk through like some of the science about why menopause really isn't about, you can still lose weight. It's just that there's a few little things that the hormone production happens in a different place. That's all. And then so it's just so fascinating, right? And then now you can create those results for yourself. So what you get is you get the modules and workbook on demand, risk-free, lifetime access. It's $2,000. And so you can actually buy it right now. You can go online. For those of you who haven't enrolled yet, I encourage you to do that. And then tell me, and I'll shout you out on the program. So it's daratomasson.com, love yourself thin. Okay, just like that. And I'm always thinking of ways to help you to have better and better results with this program. And so in one of the features that we have is Ask a Coach. So myself, or I have one of my clients who is now a certified weight loss coach. She so exciting. She also answers these questions, and other coaches that will come along the road. So you ask your question and then you get the answer. So for example, like, how do I know if my protocol is working? Going to parties, help, don't want to cook 3 meals every time because maybe your husband wants to eat something different, or the kids or the grandkids or whatever that is. And so we will give you support. And the beautiful thing is you can, if you have that question, there's like 40 other people that have that same question. So now we're going to be building this database of all these questions, and you have access to that 24/7, which is amazing. So that is a part of how it will help you learn the 12 modules and those 5 vital steps of how to lose the weight. And so that you can now be empowered and lose whatever kind of weight you want and keep it off. Now, one of the things that I really want to emphasize is that weight loss has been something that has made you feel a lot of shame, a lot of hiding, right? We avoid, there's a lot of resisting and reacting, and a lot of frustration with weight loss. And having a supportive Facebook group has been such a game changer for so many women in my program. So before this was a lifetime membership, I had group programs, and I ran them every 12 weeks. And it was so encouraging for these women to be sharing with each other what was going on for them. And so we have 3 points in there, which we encourage all of you to do. So we've got celebrate. I went to the party with my sister-in-law and honored my plan. So we will celebrate today. A coaching call, one of the ladies, she had a little bit of a plateau for a couple of days, and then she weighed herself and she's down 3 pounds. So she's actually down, I think she said, I can't remember, 9 pounds since she started like 2.5 weeks ago. So exciting. You can expect to lose about 2 pounds a week. And then we've got coaching. So hashtag coaching, like, I'm not sure how to keep up with the modules. I don't seem to have time. So then we would support you on that. And then the scale hasn't moved. So evaluation. So then we're going to show you how to evaluate so that you can become 100% responsible for your own results. So that is a feature that comes from Love Yourself Thin. Now, the group coaching, this is where you get to raise your hand, you get to ask questions, and you get to see what's going on. Now, two things happen here. One is you can watch other people who are in the same boat as you getting help and support that they need. Then you also can get yourself coached. You can ask your own questions, so then you can see what's going on for you. And they're both extremely beneficial. And we have 3 a week, which is like ridiculous. It's so much, it's so amazing. Like you are truly never on your own. There's so much support here. There's so much help to get you to where you want to go. And I'm constantly spending time, like the month of February, I've developed a new worksheet. So we've got these worksheets of how to really understand and look at the modules on weight loss science. So when you join Love Yourself Thin, you can come every Monday and you can get this. It's basically like a roadmap of helping you to navigate the different modules. There's different worksheets and all of that, so that it will make more sense. Like in France, the lunch ladies, I don't know why this is like a random fact, but at the cafeteria, because you think of like France, like people have such a high elevated palate and everything. And so I was asking someone once, and they said, the lunch lady said, it's not that they don't like the food, they just haven't tried it enough ways. So I'm constantly coming up with new ways of using the same information and showing you different ways of thinking about it and learning about it, because we're all super unique and different, right? And so then you can look at the information in a way that's going to really help you. And the way it helps you would help Amy, would help, Lori, would help Mickey, right? Like we all learn differently. And so I'm always looking at different ways I can help you understand and take this in a better way. It's going to suit you. Okay. So Monday we do a deep dive into the tools, and then the other 2 days a week, we get coaching, and you're like, I need help. I need this, I need that. Okay. And I'm there to help you. So it really is solidifying those. Now the Love Yourself Thin. So it's $2,000 and you get 5 vital steps. So that's like those weight loss science is simple. Those ones we talked about. Ask a coach. You get the Facebook community, and as soon as you pay, you get in. Like immediately you get an email, you get your login password. It's inside the program. It's a beautiful new website with just started. You get the 3 weekly coaching calls and the bonus program. So there's all sorts of bonus programs in the portal already. There's how to lose 2 pounds a week. There's all sorts in there. And so you get all of those modules, and they're all printed out. You can print them off immediately. And I'm so confident in my program. I just know this will work for you, that I have said you can lose, if you do these little steps, and they're very simple, you will lose 20 pounds in 90 days. And you will learn how to keep those off. Okay. And it's a lifetime access. You will always, and you never have to pay me another penny. You will always get the support you need in my program for $2,000. I want you to think about like how much money you've spent on all the different books, all the different programs, all the different apps. So that is what I'm offering for you. So please ask me any question. I am here for you. And it's interesting because on this webinar, there's so many women that are in the program already. And I love that. I love that they're here because they know that every time I explain something new, every time I bring something up, they will always grow from it, because their brain believes, I know I can get the answers. I know I can solve this problem. And I know you can. I have women that have come to me with like PCOS and all sorts of, and they were convinced that they were the special snowflake. They were the one who couldn't lose the weight. Ladies, I had that same thought. I have two sisters. I was very different than they are. And I never even imagined that I could be the weight that I am. And I had no idea that I could keep it off with such ease. Okay. And when I do gain weight, like just like normal, it's like no big deal. I can take it off. I can put it on. I can take it off. I can put it on. And it's just like I have so much more brain space to think about so many other things in my life because food, it does not have the same role as it once did. Okay. All right. So now it's time for some questions. So if you go to my website and just Love Yourself Thin, here it is. There is just, you can pay, if you're Canadian, there is a Canadian link, and because we get to pay taxes. I always say we get to. So the Canadian link, and it will, whatever province you're in, it will tell you how much you need to pay. If you're American or international, you have another button and it will do it immediately. Okay. So you literally can pay right now. It will take you to all your login information, all of that, and you can get going. I do drip the content. So you get module 1 and you get the workbook for module 1. And then when you're finished with that one, then, because I know you, it's like, oh, I just want all right away. And then you finish that one, you get module 2 and you can watch the video, you have the worksheets, and then you get module 3. Okay. So that's how that works inside there. So one of the questions that I get is, when are the classes? So one of the things is, I don't want you to buy just by deciding like when the classes are, because as you come in and we see them. So right now we have calls on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But as we grow and expand and you can tell us what you need, we can see what's going to work. So for now, it's Monday mornings, and all of the times are in Pacific time, because I'm on the beautiful West Coast. I'm on Vancouver Island, which today is actually sunny, which is so nice because we haven't had a lot of sun these days. So that is another question. Another question that I get is, do I take payment plans? I don't take payment plans. And part of it is that I want you to be all in. And when I think about this being $2,000, there's just like that ability to just invest in yourself also psychologically really helps you. So if you need to do 2 different credit cards, or if there's like a concern, like would rather use PayPal than Stripe, you can just message me, support@Dara Tomasson, and we can totally take care of you on that. Okay. Another question that I get with this is about there's a lot of nervousness about joining a group. And I just want to just reassure you that being in a group for weight loss, like especially at the beginning, if you're like a little bit nervous, that's totally fine. But I want to say how powerful it is. And I mean, there's ladies on here that are in the group, and they could testify of like how amazing it is to like not feel alone. It's very reassuring. So if you're a little bit nervous, that's okay. It's totally fine. But I do want to say you can like ease into it, and you do have your own membership portal. So when you join like Love Yourself Thin, you get your own personal tracking system in there. So it's like your own little room that you can keep track of everything. It's very organized. I love it. And so you can do that on your own. You can watch all the replays from all the coaching calls. And then you can create, so then you can take some time to get on the calls and to feel a little bit more comfortable. I do encourage you to show your screen when we're on our calls. So they're all done over Zoom. Oh yeah, I should mention that. And so you can raise your hand to get coached. You can just watch. There's no pressure for that. I do say for the money back guarantee that you do need to ask for coaching, but that can be here. And in fact, you can ask for coaching every single day, 3 times a day. Like there is no limit. And when I say coaching, it's like any questions, any specific things that you're struggling with, bring it to Ask a Coach, and we are here for you. Like that is what you get as part of the Love Yourself Thin process. Okay. So are there any other questions? I keep track of all the questions, and I know, thank you for those of you who sent me questions beforehand of this webinar. That was really helpful for me to get those ready for you. So does anyone have any other questions about the weight loss, the money back guarantee? Anything about the weekly coaching? I do want to warn you that weight loss, because we focus on creating a sustainable method. So we are really working on no longer using willpower, no longer being negative to ourselves, no longer, beating ourselves up. And so this process is truly a process where it's going to be really sustainable. It's going to be something that you're going to want to do. It's like, I like to think about it as a rotary cutter. Like I always have extra rotary cutters in my quilting room, because cutting with a dull rotary cutter is awful. And it's like quilting with a dull rotary cutter. It's no fun. So this is like a nice sharp rotary cutter. It's going to help you create a process that's going to be very sustainable and very, it's going to be something you want to do forever. So I have clients on here, actually on this call right now, that have lost like 65 pounds, and their life has changed so much. Others have lost 75 pounds. Others have lost that 25 pounds that they never thought they could lose, and they're like in their 60s. So we're all, not all of us have tons and tons of weight to lose. I myself, I thought I had like 30 pounds to lose because I had 5 kids, and I didn't think I'd ever be back, but I weighed 10 pounds less than I did when I got married. And I was running, like I ran like 3 or 4 times a week. And like, I've had 5 kids, you guys, and I weigh 10 pounds less than I did when I got married. And I didn't even think it was possible. And I was 46 when I did that. And now I'm 48. I'll be 49 this year. So I just, and yeah, I'm all the menopause, like I'm all in it. Like it's very interesting. It's not at all what I thought, right? So I just want to reassure you with that. Okay. So if there's no more questions, I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. It's awesome I just want to recommend you. I just really want you to give yourself a lot of love that you just spent the last hour with a weight loss coach for quilters. You have a different way of thinking about things, and you are being a very good human to yourself right now. And I love that for you. And so I want to invite you to invest in yourself. It truly is. Your brain is your very best investment, because when you create these results for yourself, you are now independently amazing. Like you are able to get it, and it's going to take you some time, right? These ladies on here, they're like, oh my gosh, it's not always so easy. Of course, you're going to have some resistance. Of course. It's like finishing that quilt. You're like, oh, this quilt is just like, it's just so much. So you can decide, you can get rid of the quilt, or you can keep working on it, and you can get some help and support. And it's the same thing with weight loss. You can decide, you're like, I'm going to live a life where I'm just going to be always carrying extra weight. I'm always going to have this story about food and negativity, and I'm never going to look forward to getting dressed, and I'm never going to look forward to going shopping, and I'm always going to be hiding behind my clothes. You can think that. Or you could say, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this game. This is a solution for me. For $2,000, I can save all the extra stress and hassle. Yeah, I got to put some work into it, of course, but you have a lifetime to do it. So I just wanted to ask yourself, what would it mean for you in your life to have this worked out? And to know that no matter what happens, I'm going to have all the support I'm going to need. I'm going to learn those 5 vital steps. I'm going to have Ask a Coach. I'm going to go to a Facebook community where there's women who've lost like 60, 70, 80 pounds and who have kept it off. I have those women at my fingertips. Are you kidding? That's amazing. I have certified life coaches, weight loss coaches. I have like 3 calls a week that are going to help me. I have all these bonus programs that are going to help me. Like, I'm going to learn about perfectionism. I'm going to learn why that's holding me back. I'm going to learn like all of these procrastination and weight loss. I'm going to learn about, you know, the deeper dive into menopause. Oh my goodness, this is insane for $2,000. I'm just telling you, like, when I think about what your life looks like on the other side, and actually what your life looks like during the process, I invite you to come. All right. Take care, ladies. It was so nice to spend this time with you, and I will see you. So every month, the first Monday of every month, I'm going to do a different webinar on a different topic, and you're welcome to come. You're welcome to ask questions. I'll always be ready for you. And then you can go to my podcast. My podcast is amazing, but the fact that you're here, I know you want to join, and I want to invite you to just come join us already. We're ready for you, and we're like welcome arms. All right, take care, everyone.